Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friday Live. My name is Ashley Hay. I'm the importer of PowerTex for Australia and also a mixed media artist. So one of the things that I love to do is create art with Styrofoam. So over the last few weeks, I've shared the process of creating a seahorse with you, from the drawing to the template to the Styrofoam and cutting out the Styrofoam. So today what I thought I would share with you is how I actually carve the Styrofoam using my hot tools, like you can see in the piece behind me. So we are going to take our Styrofoam seahorse and turn it into a beautiful three-dimensional shape. So I'll share that with you in just a second. And I am really excited for today's session. So if you are here, please let me know that you're here. I would love to say hey to you, and let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. Also, if you are watching in replay, please don't forget to let me know. It's always lovely to see who is watching. And of course, what my hope is that this session really inspires you to create some beautiful artwork this weekend. So, hey, Nicole, lovely to see you. And we've also got Roz on from Tidal Harmony Art down in Dawesville. So, of course, Nicole is from Three Hearts Art Studio in Mandurah as well. So both Roz and Nicole actually do art workshops in Dawesville and Mandurah. So if you live down that way, contact them, and yeah, they do some beautiful things. So anyway, let's get cracking. Let me show you the seahorse. So we're going to go from this, where you can see it's not very shapely. It's just got a really nice form to actually start working with. And so it is really very cool. And we're going to take it from this to this. So you can truly see the difference there. So this one is very flat, and whereas this one is very, very dimensional and is really beautiful and shapely. So I'm going to show you how to do that from this. So it does require you to have a few tools. You could actually do it with a Stanley trimmer and sanding block, but it would take you a lot longer. So to actually have the tools is really very handy. And if you can't get access to the tool that I'm going to use today, then, you know, I'm sure you'll get it somewhere online. But you could also use a wood burning tool, which I will show you later on as well. So Anne, hello from Canada. Lovely to have you here. And Anne's just saying, wow, it's looking great already. So yes, I've got this beautiful form. So as you know, I'm testing a few things out for making a seahorse. And one of my final outcomes that I do like is for the form to actually have really good durability. So the only thing with this form, it is actually a little bit fragile. It's not super fragile, but over time, you know, like if I bent the tail, it would actually break. So what I need to do is do some experiments with how to retain the actual texture that I've created in the Styrofoam with easy 3D flex is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to have a play with that. So, but the other thing that you can do is, instead of having it all super textured like this one is, I can just take it so that I form the shape, and then instead of removing the texture, I actually can add texture to it with things like the 3D Flex clay, or art objects, or any objects that I find around the place. So thank you, Mariana. So Mariana from Queensland is here, and she's just saying it's looking good. So that is awesome. So I'm hoping that your screen isn't buffering. Let me know that everything is good on your end. Might just be my iPad. So alrighty, so let's get cracking. I'm going to show you this. So what I used last week, of course, was I used this hot tool, which is a hot knife. I am going to zoom down to the art table so you get a little bit more detail in terms of, you know, what I'm doing, and you can see a bit more. So like I say, we're going to take it from this to this today. And Nicole's saying it looks good from here. Awesome. So it must just be my iPad connection, which I'm getting feedback on. So great to know. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks, Mariana, as well. That's awesome. Okay, so let's get cracking. So I've got this tool that I used last week to actually carve out the Styrofoam Seahorse. Now, this is actually an excellent tool because not only can you carve vertically, you can actually carve three-dimensionally. So this one here, I actually use this tool to do all of this. So it is very, very versatile, and it is so much fun. You will have a blast if you get into this. The other tool that there is this one. This is a sculpture tool, and this wire heats up. And so I can actually dive in and especially, you know, for doing edges, things like that, this is actually really quite cool. That's just another option, and sometimes you can get them as a bit of a set. Now, last week I did say that, you know, if I'm doing a lot of work with Styrofoam, or I am working in an enclosed space, I will actually use a fume mask. So the fume mask has filters on it, and so it will, you know, stop you breathing in the fumes. Doesn't look very glamorous, but it is super, super practical. And of course, you want to be mindful of your health, and the fumes are not good to breathe in. So make sure that you work in a well-ventilated area, or wear a fume mask that will look after you while you're working with the Styrofoam. Okay, so that being said, we'll get cracking, and I'll show you what I basically did. So I've got the tool turned on, and what I want to think about is the dimensionality, so the three-dimensional nature of the form. And so I want to be actually diving in sort of at a 45-degree angle to get that form. And I can just play with the shape of that to my heart's content. So I'm actually going to bring the nose up at an angle, because of course it wouldn't feature like that. And so you can see that the more I sort of shape it, obviously, the more interesting it becomes. So just continuing. That rule of the 45-degree angle is a really good starting point. So you can see how, because I've cut the shape, even though I'm cutting at a 45-degree angle, it's creating really interesting shapes. Then if I want to bring some form into that face, I can just literally take away the top surface a bit while I'm working so that I get more dimension in there. So it's really a lot of fun. What I do have to reduce the fumes is I just quickly wipe my blade off with a dry cloth. It does need to be a cloth which isn't fuzzy, otherwise you'll find the fuzzy bits all stick onto your knife. Okay, so continuing that, and of course, because you're working three-dimensionally, you want to look at it from all sides. And so once I've done the front side, I would then do the other side as well, and I would check out how the shape is also looking down the three-dimensional side of it as well. And bearing in mind what else I want to do to the actual form itself. So you can see how quick and easy this beautiful tool makes it. Now, what I want to do here, which I didn't just do, is I want to make it look a little bit like a horse mane. So to do that, I'm going to dig into this side a little bit more so that it gets a nice divot there. And then we want to come down here and form that one. Down here and form that one. And so you can see what I'm doing is I'm actually creating the structure as I go. Let's make sure I got that on camera. So I'll just dig in that way. And then I want to make it look like a seahorse mane. So it's very intuitive and very fluid. And you just keep looking at it and assessing how the form is looking and make decisions about, you know, what you're going to remove and how you're going to create that structural form. And it's actually so much fun. And so we'll do that again. And it's just repeating the same process over and over. And really removing that, 45%. And being bold as well. I think that's also part of it. You know, don't get stressed about, you know, what you're doing. Just have a play. If you muck it up, you can always do another one. So, it really doesn't matter that much. Especially because you've got the template. So, you know, because you have got that template, you can actually easily cut out another seahorse shape. So let's just do it from the other side so that you actually start to see some of that dimensionality. I'll just clean that blade off a little bit. And so with the seahorse shape, it sort of comes across to the other side. So I'm just going to create a little bit of that so we get a sense of that. So see how that's now got those ribs on it that the seahorse actually gets. But again, we want to take off that 45-degree angle so that we get a sense of it being a form and not just, you know, a very boring straight-edged thing. And that's where, you know, we can then dive into creating those ribs again. How nice is that? So much fun, really easy to do, good fun to play with. What I really encourage you with is, you know, just give yourself the freedom to play. I've obviously done this quite a lot, so I do make it look easy. But it's just getting an idea of how you want the form to be in your head, and then having a play and seeing what happens. And in order to see what happens, and in order to get good at doing this, you need to play and you need to actually do it and practice. And through the doing, you will learn so much about, what works, what doesn't work, what you like, what you don't like, and what is useful as well, because it may be that I can get just as nice a result with my dimension without doing all this carving. And maybe when I actually do my structure, and it may be that I actually lose some of the dimension that I'm creating. But that's where the, experimentation comes in. And I just want to get these sort of wavy. So it's that seahorse shape. And of course, I can come in and refine these shapes on this other edge here. So I don't know if you can see that, but I can actually get in and I can create some three-dimensionality on this edge as well. So I can just come back in and check how that is looking from the top edge too, which is so important. So you can see this is a bit square, so that's where I would want to get a bit more shape happening. And remember that I can always go back as well. So, taking less off to start with is actually better. And then actually going back in and taking more off is really, really, really useful. So just continuing that over there, and see how I can just kind of draw with this knife. So it is really super. And look at the beautiful texture that is getting. And, that's taken me less than 20 minutes, probably 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes to get that far. So, it is quick. It's very rewarding. It's a lot of fun. But, actually investing in the tools is worthwhile. So like I said last week, if you would like to get your hands on one of these in Australia, let me know and I'll see what I can get hold of so that you guys can get them. But you should be able to get them online. Just look up hot tools, especially, if you're in the US or you've got cheap shipping from the US, then that's super cool because you've got the hot wire foam company in the US, which shipping stuff to Australia from the US now is just crazy expensive with the Australian dollar exchange. So in Australia, you'd be looking at sourcing something locally, or you would be looking at creating, can't talk, or you would be looking at, sourcing something from somewhere like China. Okay, so he's looking lovely. Let's just quickly finish his tail off. And of course, then it just becomes a case of, refining these shapes that I've created and doing exactly the same thing on the other side as what I've done on this side. So next week, what I'm planning to share with you is how I'm going to strengthen this particular form to try and do it so that I don't lose the form. The other thing that I am also keen to do is to just basically carve the form three-dimensionally like I'm doing here without adding any texture into it, because then I can actually look at just creating the form by adding elements. And so that is another option that you have, of course, is instead of carving everything away, you can actually add the ribs on. So I'm going to try both. I'm going to try, doing it this way. And then the other one, I'm going to actually just form a three-dimensional shape without adding any texture, just to see what happens. So Mariana's just asking, would I leave the back flat? No, I wouldn't, Mariana. What I will be doing is carving the back as well. So I'll show you a little bit of that, and I'll show you how it ends up looking just in a second. I'll just get this tail finished on this side. And if you have any doubt as to how to form the ribs, or you want to make it look more realistic, what happens here is it actually comes up into a little bit of a formed element. So that's where, even though I've done this rib structure where I've carved it away, I can still add elements to this structure to add texture on as well. So I don't have to call this structure actually finished, but always refer back to your photograph, of your reference photograph of your seahorse, and get a sense of what the form feels like. And then when you have the sense of, how that form looks, then you can kind of abstract the form a bit like I'm doing. So I'm not following a photograph or anything. I'm just playing with the form based on what I know from having looked at photographs and done my drawings and all of that. So all those early drawings that I did are actually playing into my ability to be able to create the sculptural form, because they're a reference of something that I've already done, which actually, is feeding into my ability to be able to carve the form very, very intuitively. So, I can do it quite quickly. So this is what I mean by creating the sculptural form. So I would actually pay attention to the form on this side as well, and just make it so that it's got really good three-dimensional form without worrying too much about what I'm doing now, creating the texture. But, creating the texture is so much fun. Who thinks it looks like fun? Is this something you'd like to try? Have you tried it already? Have you played with carving styrofoam? You can see the piece behind me here. The possibilities are endless with what you can do. And of course, if you are into upcycling, you can do so much with recycled styrofoam. So instead of, your styrofoam going to landfill, you can actually start playing with styrofoam elements for creating your artwork. So let's just take a look at the tail that I've done here. So you can see this has taken a little bit longer than what I'm doing now. So you can see it's coming up to a bit of a peak. So what I've done is I have done, you know, sort of what I'm doing now. I've done that on both sides so that you get this textured peak. And then when I've turned it over and done it on the other side, that's where it's given that three-dimensional you know, form. So you can see how there's attention to detail in that three-dimensional form. And you can see how that form actually is carved all the way around. Could I do it better? Sure, I could. But, you know, it's enough information that I can have a decent play with. So, Mariana, so I would keep doing this until I've done all the way down here and in here, unless I am trying just the, you know, just giving it the three-dimensional form without the texture. So, yeah, so I would do in here, and then when I do the other side, that's where you start to get that real dimensionality that you can see on this particular tail. So you can see how, having spent the time, you've got this really beautiful form happening around that tail edge. If I paid more attention to these sections here, then, you know, they would also have more form. But I didn't want to do too much because I want to add some elements from here. So I need to give it its fin. And so to do that, I'm going to use something different. So I'm thinking sort of maybe wire or kebab sticks or and fabric or paper decoration, something like that. So I'm going to have a play with, you know, what else I can add to this form. But the first thing that I need to do next week is I need to get this structure created so that it's got a stronger base, so that this tail isn't fragile, particularly the tail, because you can see, you know, that it's been carved out, and so it's getting thinner and thinner. So that's the sort of thing that you want to give consideration to, because you want your structural form, you know, to last. So you don't want to create a form that then breaks. So you want to make sure that that surface that you've created has actually got really good form. So, and strength, form and strength. So you want it to be really, really strong. And of course, Easy 3D Flex actually hardens really, really well. So I'm going to do a thin layer with Easy 3D Flex, let that dry, and I'll see how that comes up, and then I'll just have a play with what else I can do, and then I'll show you next week what I actually did. So Mariana's just saying totally motivational. That's awesome, Mariana. I'm so glad that you have got a lot out of this session, and Nicole's saying fantastic information as well. Thank you, Ashley. So glad to share this with you. And Mariana, I'll quickly show you the difference. So when I do the other side, the opposite side, so I do the same as what I've done on that front side. But this time I'm really paying attention to the actual three-dimensional form. And so what's important when you are working three-dimensionally is to look at your sculpture from all angles. So don't just look at it from one angle, look at it from everywhere. and then decide, you know, what you're going to cut away. So the thing with sculptural form is you can always fix it if you mess something up. So nothing is ever going to be totally messed up. It's just going to be maybe something that you have to fix. And you can see how I'm actually carving into that. So you'll probably find that as you go, you'll get one side that you like more, and then that side would become the side that would be most prominent on how you mount your sculpture. So, of course, that's a whole other consideration, is how you're going to get your sculpture to stand, what you're going to do with it, how you're going to present that. And again, I want to be paying attention to the three-dimensional nature. So see how this is quite flat in here. I would be working three-dimensionally so that that surface area isn't remaining flat. So good fun. And then, of course, once I've done that, then I go, okay, you know, like I'd like to have that split, or I could go down through the middle and actually create like a bit of a rib through that. So depending on what you want to do. So, but the whole point is that I am giving it consideration three-dimensionally. So the really, really important thing is to actually keep turning that sculptural form around. With this, I will just keep carving my edges so that they're done at my 45-degree angle and it's looking nice on this side. Then I would come in and I would put more detail into how I resolve those three-dimensional edges that should curve around like a beautiful body. So that's where, you know, just spending that extra time to get that extra detail in, that attention to detail and finish is super, super important. Marianne, lovely to see you here. And you're saying beautiful work and it would be lovely to make it. Yeah, 100%. You will really, really enjoy playing in this sort of way. And of course, the versatility that this offers is endless. So you can do so much. I will eventually turn my ideas from this into an online course, which will just give you, you know, like all the tips and tricks, and have me personally demonstrating every aspect of, you know, what I do. So you've got a good heads up here on how I do things and, you know, how I've made it. And you can certainly go away and have a play. But like I say, I will put something together once I have worked out, you know, how to finish these forms, and I will work out several different finishes for them as well, because I want to do a face-to-face workshop in it and offer it here to my clients here in WA, near me in Safety Bay. So this is something to look out for. I will advertise it soon because I should be able to resolve a couple of finishes and I've just got to work out how I structure the class, how long it's going to take, all of that sort of thing, and do a final outcome for you. So I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed that. Just before I do go, I'll just clean up this so that we haven't got this everywhere. All these white bits of distraction, so that I can show you something else quickly before we do go, because it does relate to carving styrofoam. So this is another element that I have created. Move these out of the way. Make sure the hot tool is off so it's not intermittently carving. Okay, so this one I have actually traced my drawn design onto it. I suspect that this is going to be a waste of time, but this is the sort of thing I do more for my artwork. This is not something that I would do in a class. It would take, you know, sort of a lot longer. Mariana's just saying, please pencil me in for the online workshop. I will definitely keep you guys informed about that. So Mariana, I think you are on my mailing list. So if you are on the mailing list, then you will get information about when that online workshop becomes available. So I'd say probably the online workshop may be available by about mid-year. I've got another operation to go in for, and I am hoping to get in very, very soon, and so that I can just get on with all of these things that I love doing. So I will definitely keep you informed about that. In the meantime, you could have a play. So I am going to be carving into this design, which I have... you know, it took a little bit of time to actually draw this onto here. And what I will use is I will probably use the tool that you've just seen me use to cut the other section. But what I am going to use for actually engraving is just a wood burning tool. So with the wood burning tools, you can get different nozzles, so you can get different tips. These are available at the hardware store fairly cheaply, so they're handy. I always will wear a mask with this because I tend to get up close and personal with the drawing. And so that's how I've done the one behind me here, is with wood burning tools, a combination of other hot tools, combination of Stanley trimmers, combination of my Dremel, sanding. So it is quite time consuming to do this, but the reward is awesome. So my concern is that I spend all my time carving into this, and then what I find is that it's so thin that it you know, doesn't become something that is durable three-dimensionally. But I could actually carve one side and then put it as a dimensional element onto something, which would also be pretty interesting. So that's what I'm playing with. So there you go. There you have it. All my little trade secrets coming to life. You know, so it just is a matter of time and actually paying attention to the finish. Now, you would have heard me say that over and over before. If you have watched Friday Live before, you would know that I am a super advocate of just spending that little bit of extra time to really look, critique your own work. Is it looking like a professional artwork? Has it got beautiful professional finishes? Or is there something about it that, you know, is a bit tacky, looks a bit unfinished? And if there is, then, you know, how can I make it look better? What can I do to add to the piece to really finish it off really, really beautifully? Has it got strength? Has it got durability? Is it going to last over time in the way that I have created it? So it's very, very important to ask these questions of yourself, and especially when you are designing and coming up with your own artwork. So you're very welcome, Mariana. So that's really lovely. So she's just saying, thank you for the generous sharing of your many talents. My hope is that it just gets your creative juices flowing, and between us all in the Creative Brain Trust, we can come up with some really beautiful, wonderful artworks that, you know, just make us feel really good, and that other people can enjoy as well, and bring some beauty and love and special things into this world. So yeah, my hope is that I have inspired you to create this weekend. Pull out your power text. Next week I will be playing with Easy 3D Flex. So if you haven't got any Easy 3D Flex, you can shop Easy 3D Flex in the Powertex Australia store. If you're in Australia, you can get it off of a local trainer near you, or a supplier that you normally go to. Easy 3D Flex is awesome to have in your stash. And so over the next few weeks, I'll be using Easy 3D Flex. I'll be using some stone art. And of course, I will be using some Powertex with that to actually make up the clays and do the mixes. I'm thinking I'm probably going to use some black. I'll probably do the undercoat in black, and then I might do some textural work with the red. The red Powertex, the clay looks beautiful in red, and I'm just thinking with the Seahorse, you know, the red would be amazing, but so would the yellow ochre as well. It just depends on what you want. So red, yellow ochre, the blue Powertex, the green would all look amazing, even if you did the texture either in ivory and the clay in ivory or black, and then you actually embellish those colours. You know, it would just look really, really sensational. So the options are endless in terms of how you finish this based on your colours, but make sure you've got some Powertex, make sure you've got some Easy 3D Flex and some stone art clay, and I will be showing you some things. The other thing that I do love, of course, which I always use, are bisters, and also the lovely 3D Sand and Ball starter pack. So all of those things are fantastic for your mixed media kit. So if you haven't got those things and you want to get started and you want to have a play with creating beautiful textural surfaces, this is what I'm going to start talking about next week, on how we can create those beautiful surfaces on our Seahorse. And there are so many different ways that you can do it. So I am looking forward to playing along live with you, and I'll just pop up that link. So that's the Powertex website there in Australia. And of course, please, if you haven't already, create, connect and share with us on the Powertex Australia Hub. So it is on Facebook, it's a Facebook group, and you can hop in there, ask any questions that come up for you as you go. But also, I love to see the artwork that you've created that has been inspired by Friday Live. I would love to see it there. And of course, if you do want a reminder for Friday Live, the best place to get that reminder is by subscribing to the Powertex Australia channel on YouTube. You will find heaps and heaps of free content. If you are new to Powertex, you will find heaps and heaps of informational information there, but also ideas. So Friday Live has been going since February 2020, so there is heaps on Friday Live. But as well as that, there's also a playlist called What Is, and I go through all the different products, and it's like little explainer videos. So hopefully will help you understand the different products and answer any questions that you have. But like I say, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the Powertex Australia Creative Hub. Someone there will answer you. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone. I have thoroughly enjoyed this session. I hope you have too. And I will see you again next week with some beautiful textural surfaces with easy 3D Flex clay. So really looking forward to sharing that with you. If you are watching in replay, don't forget to drop me a line. It's always lovely to hear from you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching live, and ciao for now.